What's up, guys? Jay, MorninAfterKill, and I'm back here on Borderlands 2. And over the past few weeks, a lot of you guys in the comment section have noticed that I've been building a new Axton lately, and recently have gotten him to OP10. And I built this Axton for two reasons. One, Axton is my least played Vault Hunter, and the one that I'm least burnt out on playing over the years. And two, I haven't played Borderlands 2 in a really long time. And I kind of wanted to retrain myself to play this game without any real meta weapons. Meaning, no crutching on depots, nor fleets, and no Moxxi weapons. Yeah, you heard that right. I did not want a build that crutched on meta and Moxxi weapons in 2024. And I'm proud to say that I made it all the way to OP10 with this Axton build, which features enough survivability at OP10 without crutching on the main meta weapons of the game. And today, we're going to go through this build, the weapons, the gear, and why it works. Now, the first thing that you'll notice on the overview of this build is that there are no capstones gained. Now, you're more than welcome to take one of the extra grenades from Grenadier and spec it into his double turrets if you want, but since you can't stagger the cooldown of the turrets to have one out at all time, I kind of find it useless to have an extra turret out, since I mostly only use the turret to proc Battlefront for 30% extra damage, and I combine the longbow and maglock skill to throw the turret out of the way of danger so it doesn't get attacked and die prematurely. The nuke is useless in OP levels, even though it looks cool as hell. And the slag turret is only useful if you spec heavily into the turret's skills. And the turret's actually in the fight, which, like I said, mine usually is not. So, the gunpowder tree for Axton is where I usually spec first in normal mode. And that's because 90% of Axton's damage in his skills are located in this tree. Speccing into this tree during normal mode will give him a huge advantage early game going into true Vault Hunter mode. 5 in the Impact, Metal Storm, Battlefront, and Duty Calls will get you most of your gun damage and fire rate bonuses in this build, while 5 in the Steady will give you most of Axton's grenade damage bonuses. I also put 1 in the longbow, which, like I mentioned earlier, when combined with maglock in the survival tree, allows me to throw my turret safely out of bounds in fights. And finally, I spec into Do or Die. And I know, a lot of people out there are going to be like, Mac, why would you spec into a skill that only allows you to throw nades in Fight for Your Life? Well, number one, that is very useful when a bandit goes running around undercover, but it also gives you a flat 10% bonus to grenade and rocket damage when you are not in Fight for Your Life. And since splash damage from guns is boosted by nade damage in Borderlands 2, you definitely want to spend 1 point for a flat 10% damage boost to rockets and grenades. Now, since we're using the legendary soldier comm to boost our gun damage, fire rate, and cooldown, we're also going to spec 1 into Sentry, which will give us an extra 12-second duration to the turret. I give 0 fucks about the turret's accuracy or lack thereof, because we are not using the turret. We just throw it out of bounds. And since we have to spec 5 points into the first tier to get to the next, we're going to dump 4 into ready for 72% reload speed. And then we're dumping 5 points into willing for massive shield recharge bonuses. And 5 points into able, which will allow us to use AoE damage overtime grenades like the Stormfront to regenerate our health. 5 into onslaught will get you a nice gun damage and movement speed kill skill. And I had 2 points left over in this build, and since we're using nades to regen our health and not Moxxi weapons, I decided to get 2 extra grenades with the grenadier skill. And this last tree, Axton's survival tree, is the last tree I spec'd into during UVHM, since it carries a lot of my, yeah, you guessed it, survival skills in the survival tree. Imagine that. I didn't really feel like it was necessary while leveling up to have these skills until later in the game. So, once again, with the legendary soldier comm, I have 1 dumped into healthy just because I can. And 4 dumped into preparation, which, when your shield is full, will cause your health to regen even more. And combined with the synergy of Willen's massive shield recharge bonuses, this skill will keep my health regenning at a pretty regular rate, boosting the regen rate with nades when I need to. Pressure and quick charge also add to this synergy. With the lower health you have, the faster your shields will recharge. Combining these bonuses with a shield with a 2.5 shield recharge rate or under will give you near instant shields at low health, which in turn starts your health regen. 5 into forbearance will give you 40% less dot duration, which in the OP levels is a literal lifesaver. And when you combine that with the 5 into grit, which gives you a 20% chance that when an enemy would do damage to you that would normally health gate you, you ignore that damage and regenerate half of your health. And when you use that with the blockade shield's damage reduction, it damn near makes Axton unkillable to anything other than big bosses in the game. The gear that I'm using is gear that I found along the way and isn't fully optimized and isn't perfect, but it's still doing pretty good damage at OP10. I'm using a slagger for my slag utility, a blockhead shotgun for its splash damage bonuses. The peak opener and curb blaster are both 2 solid choices for this build as well. The corrosive butcher, the hornet for its splash damage and fire rate. The sawbar is another great choice with its fire splash damage, and I like to use the Lyuta for flying enemies. However, for melting bosses, we're going to be using a casual flacker, and it has to be a casual flacker for the projectile count, and a swap speed Ahab to boost the damage of the flacker's projectile when we swap to the Ahab, which is why we only have 1 into expertise. Now, usually you need to be 10 out of 10 in expertise with Axton to get the maximum damage from the Flak-Hab combo. But the casual flacker has a delayed projectile count, and the swap speed of the Fwapum Ahab will make up for the lack of points that we put into expertise. And like I said, the casual flacker doesn't add projectiles to the initial burst. It adds a second initial delayed burst of extra projectiles, giving you plenty of time with 6 into expertise and the swap speed of the Flappa Ahab to boost the damage of the already existing projectiles and delayed next burst on screen. Combining this with a purple explosive damage relic will give you a huge boost of damage against your enemies, even on OP10. Damage that rivals even Salvador's Pimper hat. Goddamn. So, my name is Jay. MorninAfterKill. I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys rate, comment, subscribe. It really thumbs up on a video. I'd highly appreciate it because it gives me motivation to make more videos for y'all motherfuckers that watch my motherfucking videos. If you have any questions about this build or anything you want to add to it, maybe weapons, shields, relics, synergies that I overlooked, whatever, let me know in the comment section down below. I was able to make it to OP10 with this build and gear, which means that you're able to make it to OP10 with this build and gear. And all of it is pretty easily farmable within the game. You don't really have to kill any crazy bosses to get this gear, except maybe G for the Ahab. However, most people just gate crush him anyway, or you could use a Nukem, which has less damage but faster swap speed than the Ahab. So if you want, you can get a Derpum Nukem, and it'll work pretty well for anything under OP8 with this build. Anything higher, and you are going to need an Ahab. Please believe that. So like I said, my name's Jay, MorninAfterKill. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to see y'all motherfuckers later.
Sentry! Eat this!